Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn. I think that's it. Yeah. Oh, and my page. But I need to make sure you can hear me. So I am looking up. There we go. All right, it's showing on my profile. Ooh, that sounds horrible. What is going on here? It's darn. Okay, well, you can hear me at least. So sorry for the bad audio. Anyway, we'll just keep going. At least you can hear me. Okay. So yesterday, I was talking to you about how I have started a new series. This is video 2 in this series where I'm going to walk you through my process for creating a personal project for events management. So, what does that mean specifically, and why are you possibly watching this? It's because it's Python programming. And I'm here because with everything that happened in 2020, with what happens in my personal life in the first half of 2021, I really feel like I need to redirect my efforts and share this information, not necessarily like this specific program that I'm about to be co-creating with you, as it were, sort of, but to get this information out, because so many people feel like they have to have a degree to program, that they have to have 5 years experience to get a good programming job, to any number of reasons why they feel like they can't be successful. And so, ow. And so I want to share my knowledge and help you kind of get there a little bit faster. Hey, Matthew, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. So let's go ahead and get started. If you missed yesterday's video, I don't have a nice, clean digital marketing link for you for that just yet. But if you go to learntocodeonline.com, you will see these videos as they are going live, which is right here. It will show up eventually. Okay, so yesterday I talked to you about actually a lot of things. But first of all, GitHub. If you are on GitHub, or if you're not, you should get on there. My username, also known as my handle, is Prosperous Heart. This is my handle on everything, all social media platforms, but that's mostly focused on digital marketing. But for GitHub, this is all of the things coding for me. So in that GitHub, there's lots of repo, basically containers of information that will give you programs that I'm making, or trainings that I've done, or other things like that. So feel free to follow me and all that. And yesterday we covered how to think like a programmer. So not, well, sort of. We covered the steps that I gave in a talk, which if you want to see that talk, simply go to bit.ly, Cisco live.htlap, that one. And it will take you to my LinkedIn post that has the video recordings, the code, the slides. I think that's it, on that post. So you can watch the whole thing, go through the whole process, whatever. I'm going to simply show you a couple of pieces, and we're going to move forward with the project that I'm working on today. So first step is gather requirements. This is the first in 4, and I think I'm going to make it 5 steps, but gather requirements. So I talked about this yesterday. These are things that you really have to, whoever your business unit, we're going to call it a business unit because I can't remember the word right now, whatever your business unit is looking to accomplish, you really have to have like a sit down heart to heart with them to make sure you understand what their issue is, what it is they think they want to get done, because what they think they want to get done, it's not that it can't be done, it's that it might not either be something easy to implement or time conducive, good for time, or any number of reasons why there might be options that you should be reviewing. So you have to get with your business unit, find out what they need, find out what they're looking to do. So think future, think forward thinking, because if you, let's say that you create a program and halfway through they change their mind, they want something else, they want to add this, they want to remove that, you have to start your planning immediately for that kind of thing. You have to think in basically modules or pockets of making things happen. You have to think agile thinking. You have to be agile with your programming and with these types of things. But if you don't think about what else you might need to accomplish in the future, you may actually harm yourself, not physically, but like your time, your frustration and stress, any number of things, if you don't try and plan it now. Now, here's the thing. Some people think, oh, if I have to plan it now, then I have to implement it now, right? No, you just have to hold space for it. Now, I'll get into that, I'm sure, another time. But you got to gather requirements for all those things, and then also your nice to haves. So there is the need to haves, which have deadlines that really need to get done, and there's nice to haves. Now, these nice to haves might actually be a need to have, but again, you're not creating the program necessarily based on what you think is best. You're creating it on what's best for your end user, your business unit, the person who's going to be using whatever it is that you're creating. So, got to keep that in mind and start listing those things. So, I have, if you go to, again, that website right here, it is going to take you here. So, this was last updated 3 years ago. I know a couple of things in here weren't updated. Unfortunately, what I did with the code was on my local machine, and I never uploaded it back into here. So now I have to figure out which ones those are. So most of it's still right. The code's right. It all works, but like notes or things might be a little off. Regardless, you can go through here. You can see the log files. You can see all kinds of really nifty things. But what I'm bringing you to today is step one, right? Because that's what we're talking about, the BU requirements. So what you're seeing here is an MD file. I really do think it stands for Markdown, because what you're using here is something called Markdown. Now, if you don't know what that is, totally fine. I'm not going into that all today. I'm just going to give you a couple of pieces that you can use with your code. But if you come to my GitHub site, so Prosperous Heart, you're going to see some pinned repositories. Up here, cheat sheets and training using Jupyter, and training events, sorry. These three are, I would suggest, the ones that you should probably bookmark. Simply because cheat sheets is just that. It's things that, like, there are some commands that unless you use it all the time, you're just not going to remember. So cheat sheets is going to have those little lines that will help you to be able to accomplish whatever it is you're looking to accomplish, related to the things that I've had to do and use code over and over and over again. So training using Jupyter. This I'll get into another day, but basically Jupyter is a Python module, which basically means like a package, a sub-program of Python that allows you, and actually it may not even be Python, but it allows you to do some really great stuff. It allows you to create some really cool notes. Like if you come in here, you can actually, when you download this repository, you can run these on your own computer if you have Python and Jupyter Notebook, and I think one or two other things. When you have that, you can actually run my code. So in that whole section of training using Jupyter, all my training is written as if it's like a workbook for you. So a couple of tips on that. Now, what I wanted to bring you to specifically in cheat sheets is here in the thank you is a whole bunch of information. So first of all, this is one of the things that I think is super cool about Markdown. You can put images in here and even hyperlink them. So it's very much like HTML, but it's easier. So you can see that there are links to certain sections of the document. You can make links to documentation. So these are all the things, documents, podcasts, training, whatever it might be, that I felt was valuable to this section. And so I added it in here into the thank you, right? So it's under my Prosperous Heart GitHub cheat sheets thank you. Okay, so back to what we were talking about before, right? We were talking about gathering requirements, which is the first step in your project. So clicking on this Markdown, this is step one, which is gathering requirements of this particular program. Now, obviously, this is not related to the program that I'm creating today, but I'm giving you an idea of what it's going to look like, right? So we have main requirements. This is your first header, as it were. Words, subheader, words, blah, blah, all this stuff, right? You can even do some cool tables and other things. Looks like I need to update that code. But as you can see, lots of opportunities here. Now, cool trick. If you want to know how someone did something inside of these Markdown files, if you click on raw, it takes you to basically a notepad document looking type of thing. And you can just see the raw ASCII code. I think it's raw ASCII code, which is the subheader, main header. Oh, yes, that's what's wrong. The table, etc., etc. Okay, so this is basically what you're going to look like. I'm using it because because we're going to update the README for this program. So yesterday's video, now that we're getting back to the actual training, yesterday's video was the preparation for this. We set up this new repo. And so now we're going to go through your first process of creating a branch, which we talked about yesterday was basically a copy of the code at the time that you make it for you to make updates, changes, fix bugs, blah, 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 and then roll it back up into your main section, or your main code, sorry. So first thing that you'll do is you will come here, and this is where all of your branches will be. So they will show here, and it's really simple to create a new branch. Excuse me. I'm not going into today on the code for it, but I am going to show you how to do it from here, from the website. So I'm going to call this documentation. And as you can see, since it's not already here, it's now saying, hey, do you want to create this branch documentation from main? So right now, where main is at, it's going to create this copy. So create branch. And we are now in the branch documentation. If we come here back to main, it shows we're back in main. So they are going to look exactly the same right now because that's what happened. We just copied the original one and we're starting on this branch. Now, quick reminder or information, when you create these branches, best coding practices, I should say, are you create your branch, you do your deal, you make sure that there's no issue, you do your pull request and fix any issues if there is any, right? Once you fix your issues or do your update or whatever, generally you close your branch, right? Because you've done that branch, you've done that task, you've done whatever, right? And we'll get into how to tie that in with GitHub later. But you're done. You should generally roll up your branch. I generally keep a documentation branch because if I'm going to make updates and changes to the documentation, I kind of want to know it's always on a documentation update. So that's why I keep it. I don't actually close the documentation one. You just have to make sure you follow the same process every time to make sure that you pull down the code, make your documentation update, roll it back up, and you're good. And if you don't, no big deal. We can always fix that. Okay, so we are now in the documentation branch, and I am going to be showing you over here, right? So what I want to do here is I want to change the README. And in this particular program, I'm making it super simple. I'm not going to go through a whole whatever the crisp DM is. I'm just going to make this super simple. And we're going to change the README. So we click the little icon for edit. It looks like a pencil to me. And from here, we can edit the file. So it looks just like what's over here on the right. Well, except the words are different. So by default, it takes the name of your repo and whatever description you gave it, which this is what I gave it yesterday. And that's it. That's the default README. So what I'm doing is I'm going to come over here to make this super easy on myself. And I'm actually just going to add in the sections that I want to have here. So this is actually going to replace that. It does not make any changes to your repo name, so you're totally cool there. In the main requirements section, you basically say what it is. So I am taking a Typeform Google Sheet feedback. So what that means is in my day job, I work currently for ManyChat. And one of the things that I have been leading is the planning for our booth at the Traffic and Conversions 2021 Expo. So what I've done is I've said, hey, create a type form. It's basically a way to gather information from people. We'll just say that. I'm sure there's a word. But anyway, so this type form asked them what their name was. And for each day of the event, which is 3 days, I had the list of the different sessions that were going on for each day. That way they could mark at least their top 5 preferred sessions to try and make it as even and fair for everyone to be able to not only enjoy their time at the event, attend sessions that are either beneficial for their current role or just personal, desire, as well as making sure that the booth is manned, right? So that's what this is about, is taking that feedback. It's going to do some programming stuff so that way I can not only rank things to find out, which things were more preferred by people and other things like that to make this calendar, this schedule for who's going to be in the booth at what time. Okay, so that's the main requirements. I already did that in the description. And so the second one is base needs. And this is I had this as a subheader. And so actually, I'm going to also copy all of this from over here. And what I'm doing is I basically have a document off screen that is copying and pasting to over here. Now, if you want to see what it looks like, you can click preview and you can see main requirements. It added the bullets. So in order to add bullets, you just have a dash and a space. And you can see that, this subheader is coming. It's this one's larger header, smaller header, and it gets smaller and smaller the more hashtags or pound signs that you add in. Okay, so we have what's the problem trying to solve? Pretty sure it would be, I might be wrong. It's been a while since I've looked at Markdown. Yeah, it's okay. I'll fix it later, and then I'll tell you in the video tomorrow. Okay. So we are looking for base needs. So one of the things that we can look at is, if we add this one of the things that we would need, is input. So if you add that one in a period, you can see that it starts to create a numbered list. Okay. So the type of input that is going to be used for this. So we are going to have 2 items here. Adding all things. Okay, so instead of making this a 1, I'm actually going to make this a header 3. So just, again, 3 pound signs, hashtags. You can see that it has this as a third H3 subheader. Okay. So the input of this particular program is going to be a Google Sheets file. So there's 2 ways that we can go about this. One of them is to actually download the file as an XLSX or CSV file and then use that as the upload. Or one way to do it is to, give it away to use the URL and just pull the information. So I haven't decided which one I'm going to do first for this training, but I'll figure one out probably by the next time. Video 3, maybe 4. Video 4. We'll see. So it's going to be either a Google Sheets doc with several columns. It has 2 main columns. So 3 main columns. So there is a date column. There is a the list of preferred sessions, and there's a name, right? So there's several of these kind of in a row, and again, I'll show you later when I have the file. But those are the 3 columns that we're going to focus on from that Google Sheet. Now, if we are going to download that file for whatever reason, we can then import it with CSV or XLSX. Either way, we're actually going to be using pandas, little data science stuff to use this. But either way, again, I'll do both for the sake of this training. All right, so that is the input. Now, what is it that we're wanting to learn? I'm just going to call it output for now, but it's basically like, what are we trying to find out? So what are our need to knows? I believe this will let me do that. There are some hangups. Yeah, darn it. All right, we're just going to do it this way. Okay, so what are the things that we need to know from this outcome? Let me just go ahead and copy these things. Just being honest here, because what I need this for is time sensitive. Some of these questions might be answered later, but we'll see as this process goes along. Okay, so one is, looking at preview. How can I create a schedule to be able to look at any date and time to see if it's taken up by some session? I think this should be pretty easy to do based on the classes that we're going to make. So that way we can tell, okay, this date and this time with this session, who has shown interest, right? So I think that one should be pretty easy. Who had the most interest in having attendees? So easy. You just do the count of those who had it like in their top 5, because again, we're looking at the only top 5, maybe top 10, we'll see. Date and time are the preferred sessions, so that's an easy pull again, depending on classes. Who would be available at the time for booth duty? This one's probably going to be a little bit more difficult. And again, this is going to be the ones that are likely going to be done not in time for what I need it for, which is totally fine. That's the programming part is actually something I wanted to kick off this series with, so I thought, why not? Anyway, is there ever a time that we don't have enough people for a shift? That's going to be really, really necessary. But again, this is one of those ones that will come after I actually need it. Hey, thank you. I appreciate that, Christopher. So is there ever a time that, there's not enough people for that shift? So that'll come later. No promises as to when, but it is coming. Who's available when? Same deal. It's kind of in the same lines of that. Again, I'm going to have to do several of these questions manually for now. No big deal. And then who's not available, right? Who's already volunteering? That is probably actually super simple to do. Okay, so that is the output. So when we come back to edit this file, I have, let's see, let's also do this. Base needs, the nice to have, which I'm gonna probably move some of those questions like I just told you down to there, but technically they're actually requirements. They're my requirements, but I don't have time to do that before the actual deadline is gonna come. All right, TBD. Okay, so the next section is resources needed. So once you've determined what it is that you're actually trying to accomplish, you have to think about what's needed. What is the potential time possibility required for this? Do you need to know a particular language? Do you need to know how to code HTML? Do you need to know, what are those tools, those resources, the training blogs that might be available for this specific thing, right? Maybe you're trying to figure out how to do something with the XLSX writer. Having that link already on hand will help you be more organized and make sure that you are able to find that solution faster when you kind of just put that to the forefront. So let's see. I'm just gonna put this here. I have these other items from this thing that's off the side. supposedly another Python package that will do the scheduling stuff that I was talking about. And then this, what I've done right here, this I'm pretty sure I'll share with you in a second, is how to create a link within Markdown. So you use a bracket, not a brace. A brace is a little curly shaped. The bracket looks like the part of a square or a rectangle, right? The harsh edges. Whatever words you want to be visible, and then you close it. Then you open parentheses, which is like the partial circle, the URL, and then of course you close it. So when you do that, come to preview, you can see that it's made the link for you. All right. So there's that. Putting this in here so you all can access this information. All right, so GitHub, I already have Python in here. GitHub, obviously. Python, obviously. Pandas, that is the data science module that I was telling you about earlier that I'm going to be using for this project. XLSX Writer, and I think it's called XLV. I always forget, but it's like one package extra that you have to use with XLSX Writer. I think it's XLSX Writer in order for it to work, and not XLSX Writer. I'll find out and I'll put it in there. But you have to have that for it to work. I don't know why it just doesn't wrap it up in its package. Anyway, Google Sheets and Typeform. Now, you don't have to use Typeform. You can use Google Forms or whatever else and put that there. But this is what I'm using for this particular project. Now, if you have logic, which we don't in this one really, then you would add it here. Timelines. I'm just going to put this in here for DVD. All right. So here, I think there's a way to make a row or a line divider, but I can't remember it right now. I'm sure there is. You can look it up. Again, I have it in the thank you section. Okay, so now I'm going to talk to you about the classes that are needed, right? We're planning out what this looks like without actually putting it into any type of code. This is just your brain dump, okay? So classes needed. I have, and what's a class? Oh, well, that's terrible. What is a class? A class is basically, let's just call it a package. It's not the right term, but we're going to call it a package. It's something that you create in order to be able to create what's called an object. So Python is an object programming language, object-oriented language, and everything is an object. Again, I'll go over that in the programming workshop that I have coming up. So if you want to know, again, go to the URL at the bottom. All right, so classes needed. I'm going to have user, needs to have name. It's going to have an item called ranked sessions. So that's basically going to be a list of sessions, which is another class I'm going to be creating. It's going to have, oh, that's right. So as you can see, it's a linked list of session objects, blah, blah, blah. Okay, then we have, I think this will work. Let me fix that bug. Let's see. Hidden feature. Great. Perfect. Okay. So I have a report class. Let's see, is that right there? Yeah. So this is a potential class. I'm not sure if it's really needed or if I'm just like sharing something that I think would be cool if you wanted to do this automatically. But for what I need, it's not really necessary. So session, this is a class where it is related to the different sessions that are happening at traffic and conversions. And then, oh. So those are all the different pieces of the session. It's going to have the date, time, both start and end. It needs a session title, speakers, which are going to be delimited or broken up by comma, description, which is optional only because I may or may not copy and paste it for whatever. The user list, which is the sessions in the ranked order of the form that they gave me with the type form. Okay, so basically they have a ranking, right? And whatever those sessions are, they're going to be a linked list of those items to make it easy to add things to and remove and whatever else. Again, fun stuff. And then finally, calendar stuff, which we'll see what's there for calendar stuff. This one's again something that it's going to be nice to have. Okay, from there, I'm then going to have functions needed. So these are the things that make it go, right? That do your calculations. I plan on having so first of all, it's going to need to read in input files, whether that is your Google Sheet or your Excel file. Do no, it's not. That's okay. I can fix it. All right, so it's going to read in what? It's going to read in all right, it's going to read in what? So it's going to read in the session data from the type form file. So one of those two, right? So for clarity, Google Sheet, CSV. Okay. So what are we going to do with that data that we are inputting in? We are going to do two things. And this is strictly just for reading in the input file or link. So we're going to create a new session object, which is that session class we're talking about that says, you know, what's going on at TNC for each session. So this is going to have the same list of people for every 3 days. So we won't have to read in like, it's going to be fine. So we'll create a ranked list of sessions per day to see who had the most interest by people and all kinds of, so those questions that we talked about before that we want answered, that's what we're looking to do here. Then we have, did I duplicate it twice? I sure did. All right. So additional calculations or planning. What do I mean by this? Is it the right one? But calculations, yes. Okay. So creating a schedule with the top X sessions per day for each user, right? Default is 5. I'm planning on making it flexible or future focused, so that way I can look at top 10 or whatever, right? So this is code that I'm planning on potentially reusing for other types of data that I want to rank by. So I'm kind of thinking how that works and how to hold space for that. I may also want to print the data. How do I want to print it? That's going to determine exactly what kind of data I want to be printed. Is it going to be in the CLI? Is it going to be in a CSV file? Is it going to be HTML, right? Yeah, it could probably also be PHP. But anyway, you can print the data. Additional option is mark on some schedule, like that's part of the calendar class that I was talking about that I would like to either create or use, which I think I may have found something, but I don't know yet. It's a something I just randomly found on the internet. So marking when someone's going to be out. So when they have like particular sessions they want to attend, so I can see what the schedule will look like and be able to make decisions on who is going to be at the booth versus go off and gallivant and meet people and have fun. Okay, that is it for this part, actually. So this was the gather requirements section of this particular training for this project that I'm doing for my day job. And that's just, actually, it's not the end of it. My bad. All right. So we've made changes to this README doc, right? This is the title. So you want to be short but descriptive about what this is for. So adding, I don't know, what did I call this? Adding requirements, adding initial requirements. Transferred Google Doc data into Markdown for use in planning and implementation of this project. So you can either commit directly to the branch or create a new branch for the commit and start pull request. I'm just going to walk you through step by step on this plan here for committing. All right, so I've made it. I'm keep it directly on there, and I am hitting commit changes. So it's made to the README file on the documentation branch, which means if we go to main, the README is the original one. So all the changes that we just did, oh no, they're gone. No, they're on documentation. So all of them are there. This is what it looks like. And now we want to do what's called open a pull request. So once you made your edits, these pull requests are basically the heart of collaboration with GitHub. You can have if as long as I have access to make edits, then you can do collaboration on a project with people. So when you're opening that pull request, you're basically proposing changes and requesting that somebody review and pull in your contribution and like merge into the prior branch, or however many prior branches it has to be. These pull requests show diffs or differences between the different content of your branches. If there's any issues, the changes, additions, and subtractions, it's really nifty. I'll show you here in just a second. You can even mention people. Like there's so much information you can do. I am going to put, actually I'm not, in the resources needed, the Hello World Guide will walk you through what I'm walking you through, explain more. So definitely do check this out. But now that we have this, we are going to click the pull request button. So I'm going to go back up to Expo booth schedule, and you can see that documentation had recent pushes however many times ago. Now, if this isn't here, you're likely not on the main page of your project under whatever branch you're looking to do stuff with. So couple of options here. I'm just going to walk you through if for some reason this isn't here, because this has happened to me before. If you come here to pull requests, you can do a new pull request. So we are actually wanting to pull, let's see, I think it's, oh, sorry. I do get that backwards often. Okay, so you were wanting to take, I don't know why, because there's an arrow. You're wanting to compare documentation to, there's a little arrow there, right, to main. So what we're seeing here is we removed Expo booth schedule. So not only is there a minus here, but it's red. And on the right side, we're showing that we added stuff. It's green and there's a plus. So all this here, all the stuff that I changed, removed, if there was removal, etc. So this is, A-OK. I know that I want this to go through. I'm satisfied. And so from here, you're going to then say create pull request. This was the commit that we made to this, and that's COMMIT. If you were to do this through the CLI for Git, then there's a different way to do this. This was just straight up through GitHub, right? One of the easiest ways to do this. You don't have to even know Git in order to do all that. So as you can see, this was the title of the Git commit. This is the description of said Git commit. And once I've confirmed that this is what I want to do, I've maybe assigned somebody to the task, maybe I've added a label, whatever, I'm then going to create this pull request. So this now goes through some default stuff. And if you have, I think it's called CI/CD, I don't remember what it stands for. There are other ways with which you can kind of have some automated checks in your code through here in GitHub. Now, I have not yet done this myself, so I'm really excited to learn this so I can teach it to you. But that's basically it. So now that we have created the pull request, this is where usually somebody checks your code. Now, in a perfect world, you have one person at the top who knows absolutely everything and they catch everything and they're just amazing. But we don't live in a perfect world, and there's not always somebody above you. So my suggested best practice is have somebody look over your code, somebody, because there's bound to be something that you've missed. Maybe you are doing a for loop that you don't need to be doing. Maybe you are having a huge memory leak that you really should fix before you push to production, right? There's lots of things that can be lost because we've spent so much time focusing on that information, that programming, the stress, all the things that go with it, right? And we tend to miss things. We're human. We're not perfect. So have somebody review your code, and if not, just do your best. There's lots of ways to check your code and other things like that. So there's that. And once you're done, it will tell you if there's conflict with the branch. If there is, we'll go in that another day. But since there's not, I'm going to merge pull request. I'm going to leave these as they are. You can update them. This is what's actually going to be shown inside the notes of your main branch. So let me show you what I mean by that. So I can leave a note here confirming pull request. Good job. Okay. And then you can either close with comments, just comments, right? I'm going to close with comment though. Oops. Well, that did not merge it. Oh no. Pretty easy. Reopen pull request. It's going to go through its stuff. Merge pull request. Oops. My bad. Confirming again. And confirm merge. So now it's successfully merged and closed. Leave my comments. Voila. Lots of cool stuff in this. Again, there's trainings on using GitHub, but to show you that it actually merged, without the merged and all this other stuff, if you come here to code, we're in main, it updated. Easy. And again, if you come back to documentation, it's obviously the same thing as before. And again, normally you would close these, but I leave documentation open as a branch I always use because you never know when documentation is going to be needed to update again, and why not just leave it? Okay, now that is it. That is for real what I want to share with you today. It took much longer than I anticipated, but that's okay because now we are done with step 2 of this project, and we can move into creating the bare bones for your project, or for this project, the next time that I'm on. So thank you so much for joining me today. If you liked what you saw, please show some love, have a heart, maybe leave a comment somewhere down below. And if you come to learntocodeonline.com, right now it points to my Facebook profile page, and I will be sharing more information about an upcoming workshop on Python in the very near future. So thanks so much for joining me. Hope you have a wonderful and prosperous rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.